to have everyone. Thank you so much for creating time to be able to learn. We're going to share quite a lot this evening around career growth, and we're glad to have somebody who has lived our topic today. So our speaker today is Flavia Namayengo. I pronounced it rightly. So Flavia is a management consultant born and raised in Uganda with a background in statistics and business administration. Whether it was public or private sector, the linkage of financial figures, program implementation results remained an interest for Flavia. From championing the public sector industry in Deloitte, setting a project management office and improving knowledge sharing with Deloitte firms across the world, to steering leadership and management initiatives in the public health initiative through Clinton Health Access in Uganda. Flavia has challenged the optimization of financial resources to achieve the set objectives of national and subnational level. She started from Uganda, and her role as a senior finance manager supports over 45 teams across the world in Southeast Asia, United States, Latin America, Caribbean, and Africa. A versatile professional with knowledge, has expertise of the running and managing organizations. Flavia delivers projects and financial management value across multiple industries, as demonstrated in her most recent appointment as the board director for fast-growing fintech, Pesapal Uganda, where she provides governance and oversight as the chair of the board of the audit committee. She's also a mentor with the Girls for Girls Uganda and the founder of a Raising Woman, a Christian ministry. So you're most welcome, Flavia, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for the great work that you're doing. I follow quite a lot of your content online, and I really want to commend you for the work that you're sharing, especially in helping other people who have not walked your journey. Thank you so much for being generous. And friends, join me in welcoming Flavia Namayengo to come and speak to us this evening. Flavia, over to you.
Wow. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Please confirm with a thumbs up that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Are you in a comfortable place? Switch on your camera, if you don't mind.
I want to do that. I'm afraid it might it might not be clear, but let's try. I've been trying to get
yeah, the audience would like to connect with you. They're much better. Okay, as Flavia comes through, we want to welcome the rest of the people who have joined us. Thank you, Winnie, coming through, and other people. We can see you very clearly. This is really okay. So
okay.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm not dressed like the typical work from home. Today I had to remind myself that I had important business to conduct at the end of the day. I am very glad. Thank you. I'm very glad to be a part of this discussion. When I saw the topic, I was like, oh my God, this is putting me on the spot. But again, the things that the Lord does for us, and it's really for the purpose of sharing with others. So I'm very privileged to be a part of this. From the very start, I'd like to know, how long do I have for the presentation? Because I understand we also have Q&A.
Yeah, I think we can do it for an hour.
Okay. Okay, there might be a couple of questions coming up. This topic can get heated sometimes. So I'll see if I can do it for under an hour. I have a few slides. It's just that I've already dealt with my social anxiety, and everybody's on the other side of the PC. So I'm not as anxious as I would have been in a room. Welcome, everyone. I need to know how we're doing before I start. It's one of the things that in my circles we do, where you need to first gauge the mental health of the people around you. So please give me a thumbs up. I don't know if you know how to do that on Zoom. There's somewhere reactions. Please give me a thumbs up to see how many people are doing okay. It's Friday, I understand, but how many are doing okay? 2 so far? 3, okay, 4. Only 4 people, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay. All right, I will take that as generally we're doing okay. Where do I start from? I always prefer to start with a word of prayer. Am I allowed to do that, Samuel? Okay, let's just pray. Lord, we want to thank you for this moment that we're about to have. It's a privilege for me to be here in this capacity as part of this call, as part of this webinar. And it's a privilege that there are so many people gathered to hear what I have to deliver. But I pray that it won't be I delivering, but you delivering this, because it's your intention that man profits from the works of their hands. And again, your word tells us that it's you who teaches us to profit. And I pray that you will speak to your people today and teach them how to profit and go forward in their careers. In Jesus' name we prayed and believed. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Do I have the rights to share?
Yes, you do.
You've read me? Okay. All right. I need to share all participants. It says host only. Okay, let's see. Wait, it allows me to share. All right, screen 2. Please let me know if you can see the slide deck. Thumbs up if we can see the slide deck. Can we see a slide deck on the screen, my screen?
Yes.
All right, great. Oh, this is what we're talking about. Do we all remember the topic that has gathered us here today? It's about defining our career growth. Basically, how to grow our career in a manner that aligns with who we are, our purpose, and in the end, create impact. It's very easy for us to chase the paper, chase the money, and in the end, we're frustrated because we do not have fulfillment. I've been in circles and I've met people that have been chasing careers. When you look at their CVs, it's like they have done everything and anything. And recently someone reached out to me to really let me know that, you know what, it's a good thing that I had this career, but I still, I'm still struggling. I haven't found my purpose. So how do you help such a person? Maybe you're sort of like in the same shoes. You have the title, probably you have the money, but it all just doesn't add up. You feel like you know so many people out there that could probably give you your next opportunity, but it just seems like it doesn't add up. So that's a conversation we're here to have today. I hope I do it justice and I hope you can learn from me. I'm not an expert in the field. It's just lived experiences and also experiences in the circles that I'm a part of as a mentor, but also, on the spiritual level with, ministry at my church and also with the Arising Women Ministry. You might be wondering who I am. Samuel has been very good in the introduction. Sometimes when you hear people introduce you, like, is that the same person that I know? So every now and then we should get out in those spaces where we have the opportunity for people to introduce us. It's very surreal. I've been convicted recently about my introductions. And so I always start by letting you know, I am the daughter of the Most High God. I was created and formed before everything, before the Flavia you're about to listen to. I was created by God, and I have learned to put that at the forefront of everything that I do. So that is who I am first and foremost. This picture is literally everywhere. When you see it, that's me. When you see it against the name Flavia Namayengo, that is me. I'm a management consultant. Management consultants are literally like jacks of all trade. I mean JACK, like a jack of all trade, because we do everything management, and management spans across a lot of things: operational excellence, strategy, financial management, project management. It's a lot. But it also has principles that help us navigate across different sectors and industries. And that's why it's very interesting. Sometimes when I speak about who I am, and sometimes when people find out what I've done, they're like, how did you move from here to here? It's very interesting. But when you're a management consultant, probably had a chance to start out at one of the big 4 firms, you're actually able to go across sectors and industries. I have a background in statistics, a bachelor's of statistics, and a master's in business administration, and a couple of certificates on the side. Not so many to scare anybody. I'm passionate about program implementation and results management, because that's sort of like what strategy is about. And many out of the private sector, even within the private sector, are still supporting the public sector, because again, Big Fours are private sector, but have elements of supporting the public sector as well. Non-for-profit, yes, there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done, and there's so many opportunities. I'm also enthusiastic, about financial management at a personal and a project level in the organizations. Personal, because I need to know where every single coin has gone. How much is there? Can it sustain, my big dreams? And also that comes with, that came from having responsibility where early in life, it can be a blessing in disguise, because a lot of us find it hard to navigate the adulting, especially when we just get out of university. And for some of us, it actually takes as long as 10, 20, 30 years trying to figure out what it is that we're meant to do on this planet. But today, probably we can have some answers. I also, contribute to Speech and Professional Potential Society through, I do mentor with Girls for Girls Uganda. I don't know if you've heard of it. Also through the Arising Woman Ministry. And I forgot my other people, and I think they're a part of this. Yes, I am seeing them, they attended. It's called Suits and Suits, a social club. Oh yes, I put social extra, but at the bottom, I should have put in the bracket Suits for Suits. It's a social club where if you're looking to adult, but with people that are literally willing to listen to you, you have them right in that club. I don't know if they're still hiring, still having people joining, but it's a good place to be. As you can see about me, and I'm sharing this about me because I feel like it's important for us to understand that career growth, for you to grow, you do not just keep within the corporate circles. You have to, extend your wings to actually fix in your spiritual life. I think when I was thinking about 4 things earlier today while I was praying, it was about faith, it was about career, it was about society and community, and it was there were about 4 things, but it's the 3 of them: your faith, your career, your health as well. I was thinking about those 4 things, that if you're going to drive your career forward, you're not really just thinking about the job. That's why we're having a lot of like mental illness cases lately, because the jobs are stressing people. We don't look beyond the job. We don't look outside the job. But I am very happy to be here with you, and that's really about me. There's so much, context under those titles, but it's still about me. And whatever I'm going to share with you in the next slides is really about what I've just shared with you in about 6 bullet points. Things I've learned in these circles, in the different capacities that I've been serving in. And if you forget everything that I said today, at least remember this. When it comes to your career growth, defining it for yourself, remember that you have to study the path to your goal. Remember that you have to take small but strategic steps. Don't just leap in, all of you inside. Take small but strategic steps and learn to expand your vision. If there's anything you are going to take away from this today, remember at least this. And probably, I think in the last slide, I bring this back. You have a path that you're going to set out for yourself. Sometimes it's very hard for you to even start thinking about your career. I studied statistics, but along the way in my third year, I said, I am not going to do statistics. What can we major in? There were 3 options. I think one was about IT, the other was pure statistics, then the other was economic development and planning. And I chose that. And from that point, I knew I wasn't going to do statistics. I wasn't going to go to the Bureau of Statistics. I had interned there, but I wasn't going to go there. I didn't want to do statistics, pure statistics, as we called it. But if you want to change your career from what you have learned at university, where are you starting from? Right now, like, I don't want to give away how old I am, but right now we have so many tools around us that you just put in information about you and what you desire to know, and then you have results that are going to help you. So you can use AI, you can use Google, you can use industry insights to identify the skills and experiences that you need to prepare for your next level. You want to probably get into management. What does management look like? What roles are in management? How do you move from where you're at today into management? What sort of manager do you want to be? What are the job descriptions, for the roles that you have to go through to get you to where you dream of being? Those are the small steps that you're now starting to articulate in your goal. Are you going to start with volunteering? I think early this year, I had an interview with a global recruiter that really, she's an executive recruiter. And she's telling me, oh yes, by the way, you are the person that we want. Only that the current information you just supplied me with disqualifies you. And I did understand, because there was a conflict of interest, but there were also limitations based on the work I was currently doing. But I remember her telling me how a lot of people that want to get into what I had gotten into, she was always advising them to do the volunteer work first. And she was just surprised that my first opportunity in that area was actually a paying opportunity. So you have to know that volunteering and giving back is part of growth as well. It's part of the small strategic steps that you're going to take. You have to know that mentorship and coaching are also a part of the process. You're supposed to look at projects that help you understand the journey ahead even before you get into it. In Girls for Girls, one of the things that we encourage people to do is do the work before you actually ask for the promotion that you need. You have to justify that you can actually work at the level that you want to work at. You have to expand your vision. Probably today you're just looking at the entity you're part of. I met a friend and colleague last week at the office, and I asked her how his work and everything, and she said to me that she had sort of given up about the whole promotion and career, career within that context, but she was looking at opportunities beyond her current role. And because she started to look at things differently and expanding her vision, she had gone back to school to study a course that aligns with where she wants to go, which was really a beautiful thing. A lot of us don't actually step back to do that evaluation that helps us expand our vision, because it then also allows us to see where, you're in this space, but there are limits to it. How do you work beyond the limits that you're currently presented with. But what is career growth? We may be speaking about all these things, but what is career growth? It is a strategy. Strategy is not some, it's not some word that management consultants use. It is something that actually brings so much meaning to your life when you understand it. It's an art. Some of us here probably are artists. It's an art of planning and directing. Overall, I took out military and operations and war and battle to bring it closer to us. It's directing your career through steps and then movements. You plan those movements, you direct them, and actually make the movements. You have to be intentional when it comes to your career growth. When I started working, I always thought that somebody else was going to do it for me. But over time, I realized I had to do it for myself. But how am I going to do it when I don't even know where to start from? Platforms like this are very important. But also beyond that, the opportunities around us can facilitate the process of career growth if we are looking in the right places and we have the right attitude. When you think about strategy, generally strategy as the ambiguous word used, over time in various places, strategy usually entails people, things to do with people, processes and systems, and technology. So right now, how are you thinking about your career growth in terms of strategy? People, what people do you need to meet? Do you need a coach? How much are they charging? Do you need a mentor? How much are they charging? I just had a call before this one, and it was really a strategizing meeting because I was speaking to someone very incredible, and she's on social media, and you've seen her. And I'd reached out to her, I think sometime last week, not even last week, I think like about 2 weeks ago, and we're looking at, how do we make this thing she's created, impactful to people and all that. And I felt like what she had built was enough. But because I asked, she said, we can have a meeting. And we had a meeting today. And we're going through everything and anything. And it was just exciting. It was exciting. And I was saying, how she's moving, what she's looking at. People are very important. But also one of the things that we spoke about was the fact that we do not want to invest in ourselves. You are part of the people for your career growth. And you have to learn to invest in yourself. I'm very passionate about financial management because with the responsibilities that I started back, as a 19-year-old, I got to the point where I'm literally trying to make ends meet because my dad had passed away and my mom wasn't working, but she was also sickly. And so at 19, I'm trying to figure life out, and I have siblings that need to move forward. Siblings that have to go to school. I was at university back then. Thank God I was on had a government scholarship, and so it helped. And so I was like, what work do I need to start doing? I think last week on Wednesday, I joined Lillian Bagambe. And Lillian gave me my first job while I was at uni, and I was happy. I learned quite a lot about interviewing, developing interview, questionnaires and all that, panel, what do they call them? I forget, but interview guides and all that. That when I joined Deloitte, that experience really counted. They were recruiting for, the graduate hire system recruits mainly for auditors. And so they were recruiting for auditors, but I said, audit is like the accounting I hated at university. I love numbers, but I didn't like accounting. Auditing feels like accounting. So I went to the university page and I'm looking through everything and anything. And I'm like, what does Deloitte do? And so I realized that I didn't want to do audit and accounting. And I found my passion with management consulting. They weren't hiring for that. But I mentioned to the panel back then that, in case you don't find me fit for audit, could you please let me know when you have openings in management consulting? And I tell you, while my peers had started, in September, because I think it's September, because, you have uni graduation and then, people come in somewhere in September. Most of the times they join around September. They joined, and I wasn't among them. But April the following year, I actually joined Deloitte in Uganda. I joined Deloitte in Uganda because, again, they remembered I was interested in management consulting. And so when the opportunities opened up, they called me for the interviews. And that's where, I showcased my strength. People are very important. Which people do you need to meet? We do not take serious the things, the contributions of the people around us, especially when we're not paying. That was also part of the discussion we had today. It's things we're moving forward. Who are you talking to? The people in your circles, in your village, are they contributing to you, or, they're taking a lot from you? Because some of us are part of circles where the people we have are actually taking so much away from us. And that's part of the frustration. We have processes and systems. What processes do you have to go through to be part of the list that they are choosing, to be part of the list that is considered as the list of people we're going to choose from? How do you need to develop yourself? You see, these are terms that are going to be used when you hire a management consultant to draft for you a strategy and, and you pay them. But this applies to you and your career as well. Technology, we are living in such an era of advanced technology that you cannot sleep on the job. I have had to learn to use certain things, and the desire to learn this year has got me to master things like Canva. When I started using Canva last year, I was like, my God, no, I can't do this. I remember at the beginning of the year, I wanted to hire someone to do for me the posters for the Arising Woman and all the things I needed and all this stuff. But I told myself I have to learn, because the person I had gotten in touch with, accepted to join the ministry, but stuff started happening and they couldn't, continue. And I was like, I need to figure out how to do this. There's technology all around us that is going to help us grow in our careers. There are free learning materials on edX, on Coursera, on Allison. I don't know if you've heard of all these. There's new material coming up with Google. That is part of technology. That is technology helping you with your career growth. So career growth is strategy. You plan, direct, then you move into this marketplace. And you're looking at which people you have to meet, what processes and systems are in place that you have to adhere to, that you need to create probably in your own life to meet the processes and systems that are already, that make the space that you want to join the marketplace function as it is, because you have to understand those as well. There's also technology. Most people in this country, across the world, have access to a smartphone. It's not like back in the day where you had to go to an internet cafe in order to access the internet, and it was for a limited period of time. And the pages would sort of like hang up. And you wait and wait, before you know it, your 500 shillings is gone and you haven't done much. Our smartphones, they can do so much. I hope we know that you can buy bundles and save money, bigger bundles to save money, so that you're able to do much with your phone. Can I have a thumbs up if I am already speaking into someone's life, or we need to change direction? Thumbs up from anybody? Is this resonating? Is it making sense? Okay, that's 3 thumbs ups. Only 3 people? Okay, a number of those are coming up. Thank you so much. Thank you for that feedback. Career growth. I want to let you know that this career growth, this myth that is career growth, that we've now seen to be a strategy, it is your responsibility. No one is coming to rescue you. And I'm sorry I'm starting on such a note, but it is your responsibility. No one is coming to save you. You can be very excellent at what it is you know. and you will sit at a laptop and do your things, technical knowledge you will deliver. But you have to be able to interact with the entire ecosystem that makes up the career space. If you're unable to interact with the entire system, it's going to be hard for you to move forward. It's going to be hard for you to negotiate with people for opportunities, for the growth that you're looking at, whether it's vertical or horizontal growth. It is your responsibility, and you have to purpose to drive it forward. I've had moments in my career that I've hit a snag and I'm like, I can't do this. But I've also had people around me that have said, Flash or Flav, they're like, this is not you, you've never given up. Push through, you will find a way. You need those people. You need those people in your life that remind you of who you are beyond the spaces that are causing all this stress that you're experiencing. So if you're looking at your career growth, what are you really focusing on? Because if as a strategy, you're looking at people you have to be in touch with, to connect with, the processes and systems in place, or what you have to create for yourself, or you're looking at the technology in place that you can leverage, or you can adapt to. You have to be able to, one, define your career path. And these are the 3 areas that Samuel posted on the social media pages for this webinar. It's defining your career path. You have to be able to align your work with your values and your long-term goals. Because let me tell you, when your work gets pretty hard and you have no values, you are going to fall for anything and everything that comes your way. During COVID, before COVID, I was going through a period at work where I wanted to quit. Like, it was so hard. There are things I just couldn't understand why they were happening. I wanted to give up. But I remember a friend of mine back then, when he came to see me, he said, the person that I know you are, this is what you do when you feel down. This is what you do when you don't want to talk about things. It was coming face to face with the person I had forgotten, because work can do that to you. So how do you align your work with your values so that you know when to shut that laptop and go home? Because your mental health, one, is important. Your family is important. Your friends are important. Basically, your relationships and your health are also important, because nobody's going to teach you work-life balance. We have gone through all these things, and we have attended seminars and webinars on work-life balance, and we've not been able to put that into action. So if you're looking for career growth, I will tell you, burnout has never been your friend, because on the day you think you're ready to deliver what you've been working on during that season, that's when burnout comes out to play, and you end up making mistakes, like real mistakes. Imagine working on something for such a long time, and the day you're supposed to deliver it, because you're exhausted and you're getting triggered by literally everything and anything coming your way, you mess up. Someone says something, you get mad at them, you say words that you've never said in your life because you're stressed and frustrated, and that becomes what everybody remembers you for. So you have to align your work with your values and long-term goals as a person. So you have to have your personal values and goals, and then you have to have the work ones. You can't mix the two of them, because once you do, everything just, gets intertwined. You do not know when to stop work and breathe. You do not know when to prioritize work over everything else that is happening. And recently, someone mentioned the element of taking, managing with our emotions. You show up at work with everything and anything that has happened to you, and you expect everybody to understand. I used to think like that. I used to think empathy was, empathy from the people around me was their responsibility. They had to learn to feel sorry for me. because I'm going through something. And I remember what I think broke my heart at some point was when was when someone said that I wear my emotions on the face. I pondered on that for such a long time, and I decided I was going to be a happy person. I said I was going to be a happy person, that people cannot tell what is happening in my life. Because sometimes I testify to people about things I've been going through, and they're like, when did that happen? Because all the time they have seen me, I've been a happy person. I said, I am not going to wear my emotions on my face, because guess what? When you wear your emotions on the face, it makes people treat you a certain way. It's like a signal. People are either running away from you or continuously, showing up defensive, showing up, in attack mode and all that. So you have to align your work with your values and your long-term goals. You have to make intentional decisions that open doors to growth. And you have to be consistent and patient, because good things take time. For people who drink wine, I am told that good wine really takes some time. So consistency is very key. I have watched videos. One of the things I do when I want to relax is watching how things are made, especially food, how foodstuffs are made. I love that. Like I watch, and I was looking at the process of making cheese. And I'm like, wow, the fact that you have to go check on it, the temperature, everything, like there's some level of consistency and patience. You do not get the milk today and you have cheese tomorrow. No, you do not get the grapes today and you have wine tomorrow. No, good things take time. And growth that is based on understanding and substance is going to take time. Sometimes we're really in a hurry to get what it is that we've dreamt about, but I'm here to encourage you. Wait it out. But as you're waiting, be active somewhere. I'm going to dive into the 3 areas that were shared because I wanted to remain as true to those 3 areas as possible. And also bring in a bit of context, because this is sort of like the easier part. Once you've had everything else I've said, this becomes so much easier. So when you look at defining your career path, what are you really thinking about when it comes to defining your career path? It's less about picking a straight line and more about stewarding your journey with intentionality and faith. Some of us don't believe in ourselves. Our first session with the Girls for Girls mentorship is building trust. And one of the key lessons that we really drive home with the ladies is to build trust, you have to learn to trust yourself first. I can't trust you if you don't trust yourself. You're always second guessing yourself. It comes through in your delivery. So it's this career growth thing. As you define your career path, it's less about picking a straight line that I'm an engineer. Well, those guys can be engineers, but I know engineers that are doing analytics in public health. I know engineers that are now project managers. It's not about picking a straight line. You steward your journey and be intentional. When opportunities come up, you start asking yourself, how does this opportunity align with what I'm doing? What else do I need to add to myself in order to make the most of this opportunity? Your career is not something you chase. It is something you build. A lot of us are chasing the career, chasing. You're in one room after the other. But I pose a question to you today. For everything you have done, all sessions you've paid for and attended, when you go back, can you write down at least one thing that you learned that you've actually put into action? Recently, I was having an evaluation. I showed up and one of the fellowship teams that I lead was doing an evaluation, half-year evaluation. Like, oh, our boss is here. And, they're like, after the evaluation, I was listening and, I sat, they asked me for my opinion. And I was taking them back to the why. As asking them about the building, what are we building towards? As asking all the Bible study that has been shared in the last week, tell me one of the scriptures that wasn't shared by you, shared by somebody else that really spoke to you and you put it into action. I didn't have any hands up. That example, and you looking at your career, you build, you don't chase. Because when you're chasing, it's always been said that anything you chase runs. Do you know that? Anything you chase runs. But if you're building something, you start with a foundation firm enough that every brick you add to it is part of the grand plan, part of the grand structure. You make a decision, you learn along the way, you stretch the assignments at a time. If you're never asking yourself what you have learned at the end of every assignment, it's something that you may need to start doing. Because once you start evaluating your learning curve over time, you will realize that it's very different. It's very different. Every time I attend a session, I take notes. If you have been on my LinkedIn, everything you see, when I reference things I've been at, events I've been at, sessions I've been a part of, it's because I'm taking notes. I told myself that I have to learn. Whatever meeting it is, I have to learn. I have to have a takeaway. Because that forms part of how my mind is going to work in the next couple of days. What am I researching about? What am I asking Corey, my AI companion? I'm like, Corey, so this is what I'm thinking. This is what I went through. This is everything that I've been putting together. I learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. What does the industry say about this? Because I want to know whether what I'm learning is part of the general knowledge or it was specific knowledge by the person that gave, based on their experience, the person that shared these things. What am I speaking about when it comes to defining your career path? I want you to remember that horizontal growth is growth. Horizontal growth is growth. Fun fact. I call it fun fact now, but it wasn't a fun fact. I was at one level for 7 years. One level for 7 years, and I didn't understand it because all these appraisers were saying so many good things. I had to leave, Deloitte to go into my current workplace. But again, I entered that workplace at the same level. And I did 4 years at the same level, moving through various areas. But during the moments of frustration, really, really badly wanting to move, I had to sit down and I asked myself, what is it that you want? Are you very sure that you haven't actually grown in the last 7 years? That's when I realized that the work I did back at Deloitte, the last 2 years, were about me being an assistant or core team leader with someone with so many years of experience. That those last years shaped how I looked at public health, that then enabled me move into my current organization, which was very specific to public health. I had value to bring. In those last years, where I thought I wasn't moving, it's where I learned about result management, which really brought the passion around operational excellence and performance management. And so getting into Clinton Health, I got in there because of performance management. It's around leadership management and coordination, things I had learned in the last 2 years. The fundraising that was super important in the 4 years because we had to support a fundraising. There was an engagement of a fundraising, around fundraising for the call and dispatch centers that I had learned when we're fundraising for the Small and Medium Agribusiness Fund under the EU Wellers at Deloitte. Every little thing that you have done and gone through, it is shaping who you're becoming. But are you discerning enough? Are you alert enough to realize that as you move from one team to another, you're growing? Or are you simply moving from one team to another because you just don't feel like you fit? Let your movements be because you're adding value. And I realized my movements from from Deloitte into Clinton Health was because of what it is that I had shaped and how I had presented myself, probably during the interviews, that I knew what performance management was. It's not something that was being called out back at Deloitte, but what all the projects I was doing as a management consultant. But because I had experience in health, most of the projects I worked on were health. Of course, I did things around recruitment and interviewing, interviewing on a panel, interviewing people as big as people that sit in the Presidential Delivery Bureau in Tanzania. Like, I look back and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Because again, when a project came up, I knew what to do with the interviews, what to look up when we're interviewing for a bigger project that came when I joined Clinton Health. All the things that I thought were not adding up because I was chasing a title, and I'll get to that, they shaped who I became in the end. But I had to step back and look at everything that's been happening. I also invite you to be open to what you do not know. We know things, we studied things, we've worked on things. It's very easy to be the person that is experienced, because guess what? The people around us call us boss. They call us experts. I don't know what other names that they are calling you out there. They make us feel good about what we know. But if we do not have humility within us, we are likely not to learn. But you know that learning, it's the way we broaden the perspectives on life. It's how we understand that the things we knew were not everything, that there's so much to learn. Because a Gen Z is going to come and present on a topic that you have known for such a long time, because you're moving with the same information 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you present it, but someone has been out there challenging the normal. And they've found new information. They've discovered new things through their analysis. They found better ways to do things. If you do not want to learn, you are going to build a culture where people don't step up if you are in management. You are going to build a culture where people are very afraid of, contributing. And that's not what you want. So you have to be open to what you do not know. Open to learning. Other duties as assigned are secret doors. I wrote about this, I think, in the month of July or June. It's one of my most recent posts on LinkedIn. Other duties, that clause in your job description allows you to do things. You can also talk to your supervisor and say, because sometimes supervisors will not allow us go beyond what we're currently doing. I tell people we get into the workplace because we need a paycheck and somebody's willing to offer it. And we have something we can provide in the meantime. But is it where you want to be? A lot of people that I know started somewhere, but they are not in those industries anymore. Some of my friends started as lawyers, they're in marketing right now, and they enjoy that. Because while they are working, they found things that were interesting, and they explored those within the current, the then current workplaces, and they were able to grow, to challenge themselves and learn from one another. What opportunities coming up that that your employer is requesting for volunteers? Put up your hand. Put up your hand and do it. If you have prior experience in your probably previous workplace or an assignment you did, that is not necessarily directly correlated to what it is that you're currently doing, but experience from the past that is required, on a separate project, put up your hand. Why? Because while you're there, You could meet promoters. Promoters, we talk about promoters as people. When your immediate supervisor, for example, when your immediate supervisor cannot find a reason to move you forward, who else can vouch for you that you actually deliver? You need those promoters around you, honestly. You need people beyond your little circle that can speak for you and say, no, that is not Alpha, that is not Esther, that's not Mona. No, Beatrice is not like that. Bashir is not like that. Winnie is not like that. Maria is very different. Charity is very different. Miriam is very different. Bonnie is very different. Because they've had an experience with you and they know you can deliver. But again, like I shared, my experience joining Deloitte, delay is not denial, guys. Delay is not denial. Because when I eventually entered Deloitte, I found my purpose, I found the opportunities, I was championing things. I can't imagine what would have happened to me and how bored or sad I would have been if I'd entered under audit. I wouldn't be pushing myself to be a member of the inaugural Deloitte Africa Millennial Council. Because I was on leave. I was on leave and I came back and I saw an email. I'm like, oh, the deadline was last Friday. So I wrote and I said, hi. So I've been away on leave and I just came back. I see the deadline passed, but can I make a submission? And I said, yeah, you can make a submission. I think it was a 1 minute or 2 minute video about the impact I can make. And I sat in the nearest boardroom and I recorded everything on my mind. I think I did like 5-10 takes. And I went through. And after that, because of all the travel I was doing, going to South Africa between June and December, once every month, and, getting to board that plane, and getting the allowances, it made other people look at those opportunities like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But we also got to shape how the organization, the company was looking at millennials in the workspace and what they can add, because we created very amazing projects as we met every month. Delay is not denial. You just have to understand, where was the roadblock put? 7 years, I felt like it was denial for a promotion. But when it came, it made sense. And then we started going up because, again, I had to understand why there was a delay. The second part was about aligning our work with our values and long-term goals. When your work reflects your values, it becomes more than a paycheck. I think it was earlier this week, I was speaking to somebody again, and we're discussing career. And we got to the point where we both agreed that it is very possible for you and I to live a certain part of our lives where we actually enjoy what we're doing. You're going to start up from uni, and you're like, man, who is recruiting? Job here, I need a job, because your parents are looking at you and saying, hey, our money, this child has to start bringing back. They start looking at you and expecting you to contribute. This is Africa, like this is how it is. And out there in the developed countries, a lot of parents, release their children, not with grace, because they are taking too long to leave home. But what happens when there's no paycheck? Are you still going to be valuable? Do you have a purpose that is going to push you and say, okay, the job, I don't have a job now. Where do I start from? What things am I passionate about? You have to start creating, you have to start identifying those things and working towards them before the moments when there's no paycheck. And that's part of your purpose. That your paycheck is just part of your purpose and not necessarily the anchor to which your everything is hinged. Somebody recently shared a post and he was saying that there's a guy he talked to that earns 1 million a month, and yet his kids go to very good schools. He has a very good home, and he was asking, how do you do it? And he said, the job is really just a vehicle. But what he learns from the job, he applies elsewhere to be able to bring in more money. Your work should reflect your values. What are you passionate about? I had a conversation with Victoria Nyans. I hope you know her. I had a conversation with her this week, and it was going back to what you know. What is it that you know that you're passionate about? How do you create that strategy, that long-term plan about monetizing it, about making it be impactful to the people around you, to you, give value to others? What are you passionate about? That's where you can start from. I was having a check-in with someone yesterday, and I was asking them, because they mentioned something, and I said, this is it. I'm not even going to wait for our next call, but this is the direction that I'm giving you. You have to start now. These are the tools I'm directing you towards. These tools online are free. If you want, you can go pro, but first use the free version to learn how to do certain things. Sometimes people think that what I share on my WhatsApp, on what I share on my WhatsApp, on LinkedIn, the decks and the posters are made by other people. But I'm learning every day to put things together. This presentation, like, I realize I'm coming to a place where I don't want to kill people by PowerPoint. I'm like, yeah, we need some images. So I went to Canva. I'm like, Canva, I need a PowerPoint presentation, deck. And I went and I looked through what had minimum images, what would really work, what can I take out, what makes sense when it comes to the context of what we're discussing. And then I worked with that to be able to deliver this. We are living in the world where you don't have to start from scratch, I tell you guys. So make use of it. Make use of it. The conversation about the generational barriers was very interesting, because I think the Gen Xers and the boomers are always looking at, we have structure, we have a way of doing things, we don't want to change and all that. And the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas that are coming up very soon into the workplace, they're like, no, we want to see how things work. If it doesn't work, how best can we work through it? What other way can we work through this very problem? And the millennials are stuck right in the middle, trying to balance, between structure and then this disruptive change that is always popping up. You have to be able to adapt. Show up as your best self, the best version of yourself. Putting this together, I had a presentation, I'll tell you. I had put something together when I received the title. But I went back to social media. I was seeing the posters that Summer was putting out, and I'm like, okay. And I realized that we have 3 areas that we need to concentrate on. So I went back to, look at everything I had put together, and I said, let me align to what the people are expecting based on the poster. What am I going to give you? What takeaways do I want to give to you? And I had to find a way and, versions of that deck that would speak to you, that would be, would reflect what is on my heart, but also have key takeaways for you. You have to show up as your best self. Do your very best, that when everything is done and when everything comes to the end, you are okay with what you've done. And it's something Victoria told me. It's like, she shows up as her best self, that there are no regrets. Even if things don't go as she expected, at least she's very confident in how she showed up, that she showed up as her best self. And I love that. I'm like, this resonates with the both of us. I'm telling you, job titles aren't everything. I almost gave up at an opportunity that was shaping me to move into the work I'm currently doing. My LinkedIn profile shows a lot of things, and I struggled so hard when I attended the first session with Victoria last year. I struggled so hard to present myself on LinkedIn beyond that. Oh, we went to an event, we went to a function, so I'm posting the pictures and stuff like that. I wanted to add value, but I'm like, I do so much. How do I package that? I had to go back to what I'm passionate about. But for somebody in management consulting, you have experience in HR, you have experience in project management, you have experience in fundraising, you have experience in equity funds. Like, you are everywhere and anywhere. You could have worked in the energy sector because, well, there was an asset, revaluation exercise. I participated in some things to do with the bank around strategy reviews and then job re-engineering and all that. How do I explain that to people? I had to sit down and understand. Do the job titles that I've had over time matter, or it's the value that I deliver? How do I package that value? You may chase those titles and still be frustrated because you are a manager, but your salary and how you're living is not really manager level. I had to speak to myself. I said, the title you want, are you able to actually attract the salary you want in the enterprise that you choose to work? Because again, we work to get that money. And when the money doesn't come through, or you're still earning very little, it gets very frustrating and it affects your performance. Some people who have that, some people have very complicated titles if you go through LinkedIn, and I hope you never get discouraged when you see people's titles. But in the background, they barely do anything. And some of these people are in our offices. Some of them, you've met them in certain circles where when you start to ask technical things, they are not able to deliver unless somebody is with them, because that's the person that actually does the work. So sometimes this morning, I was looking at Google News. I sometimes, go through and I see what is trending, because every time you search for things in Google, AI is now sort of like helping you filter out what it is that it thinks is valuable to you. And today I woke up and Elon Musk, with his XAI, initiative, had decided that researchers are no longer called, so they're called engineers. So you're going to find people working in XAI being called engineers. And you're like, oh my God, this person moved career. They're now engineers, and you're under pressure. You also want to become an engineer. You end up going to study because you want to become an engineer, sorry. But this is a researcher. You have titles like technical advisor, but the person is doing the same work as an associate. Understand where you want to go so that you're no longer falling for job titles and falling for what we see out there and all the hype. Put into context what you're doing and where you want to be, and let that shape how you move forward. Your long-term why matters, because when everything seems like it's not moving forward, seems like it's cumbersome, you go back to your why. Entrepreneurs that probably are on this call, your why matters so much, because you do not want, the why that you started that company to fail. I've had to go back to my why when it came to the Arising Woman. I'm like, why am I doing this? I remember that my accountability was to God, and I said, God, this is your thing. I've hit a snag, so I'm coming back to you. Probably I was very proud when I started this, when you laid this on my heart. So now I'm willing to work with you. Know your why, because that helps you recalibrate. You have to have purpose. If you're showing up because it's morning and there's a job you have to show up to, that's not purpose. You can totally, like I've already mentioned, you can totally move from dragging your feet out of bed for work to being excited about work because of purpose. Why? Because over time, as you align your purpose to what you are doing, you're going to end up defining the culture of the people around you, because you behave a certain way. And as you define that culture, you're influencing the people around you. You're creating a team that actually supports you into your purpose. The office politics, it's strategy. How people decide to do things, how they decide to present themselves. They have purpose. Some of them, it's evil purpose, but I'm hoping that when you think about office politics, you're no longer scared of it. You're actually looking at how you strategize to win. How are people doing things? But again, it goes back to your values. What are the lines you don't want to cross, that you shouldn't cross? Because you need to navigate office politics while maintaining your dignity. Find and maintain your village. That's supposed to be Anne, sorry for the typo. Find and maintain your village. Who are the people around you? One of the reasons I joined Suits and Suits is because I wanted beyond the people that I know. Who can add into me? I have people around me. I've been learning, I've been sharing with them, but I need a new perspective. What haven't I heard? I need someone to challenge me. I need someone in my circle that is doing something that I'm not doing, and I want to understand the drive behind it. I joined Suits and Suits this year, and it has helped me because the president literally, she does so much work for the club, and I'm always challenged and asking myself, how does she do it? And I'm at the point where I'm like, I have to grow. Like, I have to push myself and do things. Our last meeting, honestly, I sat and I'm like, I'm not doing enough because people are running marathons. People are joining golf. People are doing things. I needed that space that challenges me to get out of my comfort zones. The space you've been with, the people you've been with, honestly, if you evaluate that group and you realize you haven't gone forward, you haven't learned much from them, it is high time that you actually find another group to be a part of that is going to help you move forward. Have long-term goals that you can actually articulate and see how you align those to the work that you're doing. And on the third part, I'm hoping that this is so much simpler. Intentional decisions that open doors to growth. It's intentional decisions that open doors to growth. It's a result. Growth is a result of small intentional choices. You choose to wake up and stretch and do your sit-ups every day. You choose to skip 100 times before you do anything. You choose to take warm water for people that are bloated, and it's growth. Well, you might not be growing, growing vertically or so, but growth in terms of better health. Those posts that you make on LinkedIn, when you post it and you're like, did this make sense? You know, when somebody posts something and you're like, did that make sense? And you go research about it and you have your own opinion, you come and leave a comment, they see it, they respond to it, you turn that comment into a post on your page, and you know it brings engagement because again somehow it's connected to the old post and one. As professionals, LinkedIn is such a place that I've found we can utilize. Your WhatsApp is a place you can utilize. When I started doing evangelism, honestly, it was WhatsApp and TikTok. I would have to record the videos based on what I've learned as I read the Bible, make notes. I have like books, journals where like my life is full of journals, various journals. Like my table is full of journals, and each journal serves a purpose. Small intentional choices eventually add up. Because as I learned the word, I was able to add up things that I learned before. I'm like, okay, this is how this makes sense. And then I'm able to explain it to people. That then it becomes a part of the conversations that I have every day with people that I don't have to recall. I'm like, so this and that and that and that. Like it comes naturally through my discussions and conversations that I will tell you, the Bible tells us that it is the Lord who teaches us to profit. What are you learning from the Lord? What is he telling you in the word? It's about, you know, speaking up, stretching beyond who you are. Some of us never speak up. We never speak up. I don't know what, Bonnie, you're good at. If you don't tell me, I won't know. I do not know. I think now we have 3 pages. I don't know what Aisha Musazi you do. If you never tell me what you do, I may never know. Miriam, I may never know what you do until you speak up. We are part of workplaces and businesses where we literally keep quiet. What are the things you can start doing? And I posted this, I think last week, about speaking up. Even just putting up your hand, because they're asking for comments, not questions, you know, only. Put up your hand and say, this was a brilliant conversation. During the conversation, you know, during the presentation, write down 1, 2, 3 things and say, this was a brilliant conversation. My takeaway is that, you know, mentorship is a key tool for career growth, and we have to learn to speak up. Take the notes. Because as you start to speak up by just taking what you've been given and presenting it again on that platform, you're building up your confidence and your courage. We think that career growth is a series of lucky breaks, but people have been doing things that have been building over time. You have to learn to give back. Teach others what you've learned. One of the quotes, I forget who it is from, but he said, when we share our knowledge with other people, we retain that knowledge. And I challenge you, from whatever you've learned today, write down a couple of things, not just taking pictures of what you're seeing here. Because again, they're not copyrighted, but again, this is content I've put together. I put together from, my notes. But tell someone that just as part of a discussion, and this is what I learned about being intentional, that, when you make intentional decisions, it opens up doors, and this is how, that happens. Because you're not going to forget it. It's going to be one of the things you constantly think about, that when you're in certain spaces, you're asking yourself, what decision am I supposed to make after this webinar that we're having here? That you're not just a statistic. You are not just a statistic on this call, but you've actually grown, you've actually learned something. Invest in growth even when no one claps. That investment in growth, I had to learn about 7 years ago to start putting aside, because I was already paying tuition for my siblings, taking them through school. And I asked myself, at what point am I going to do my master's? Not even 7 years ago. I think it was about 8, 9 years ago. And I tried to apply for scholarships, and I didn't get scholarships to go and study. I got into London School of Economics. I got into University of Birmingham. I got into University of Leeds, but I couldn't go. Like, I could not go because I didn't have a scholarship. And I remember I didn't have funding. And I remember looking and I said to myself, you mean you won't study, you won't do your master's because no one is willing to pay for it? I had to defer my admission for the University of Leeds twice until I said, I can't do this. And after that, I decided I was going to start saving towards my education. And, I think I was applying for a visa when I was doing the Deloitte Millennial Council, board meetings. And I remember seeing an advert for UNICAF. Sometimes we pronounce it as UNICEF. And I'm like, okay, let me check these guys out. And I remember reaching out right there while I was standing in the queue to submit my application for a visa. And they got back to me by the time I got home. And I'm like, I need to do something. I asked, the application process. I asked about payments. I asked if they had like scholarships and all that. And I tell you, by the end of that month, I had received, a total of how much tuition I could pay, because they had given me up to how much scholarships can be. And then I went ahead to apply for a scholarship. I engaged my partner back then, partner at Deloitte, Mebo Ndaula. She was really amazing at this. She's like, I support you. You need to further your education and all that, as in consulting. So it wasn't mandatory for me to do ACCA, which the firm, pays for, or, the courses around, what is it? Is it CFI or something like that, around risk and all that? I wasn't doing that. So the company wouldn't be paying for me something that is not directly in line with what I was contributing to the firm. And we talked about it. I told her this is going to be like online, but again, there's quite a lot of work and all that. I chose the university and I said, this is it. I looked at the payment plan and I told them, I can't start now. Give me a year. Because then I knew I had to pay for my courses a little at a time. Like every time I finished a course, I had to pay my portion of the tuition in the system so that I unlock the next course. And then the scholarship money can come in and top that up. And I had to be very, very diligent in saving money. So I calculated, I'm like, how much can I actually put together, given all the responsibilities I have? I had 3 siblings in school and they all needed money. And so I decided how much I was going to save every single month. And fast forward I think it was beginning of 2018, I started my MBA. And I studied. I would be in the field and I have assignments and I would, put in the time to do my assignments. I had group discussions. I had to submit my discussions and my thoughts of research in the system to show that I'm actually participating and I wasn't going to get a retake. I said, I'm not getting a retake. Like, it's hard, but I'm not getting a retake. I remember having to do my final project. And I'm like, this is hard, but I had to push through. So I did my MBA over 2 years and my graduation was during COVID, but it was so worth it. You have to invest in your growth. Since then, I decided that I would put aside money every month for my professional development. The certificates that I do, I have to pay for. Like sometimes you go on edX and it matters that you can do MicroMasters or Coursera, but you have to pay and you have to pay ahead of time. And where does the money come from? You have to save little bits of money at once, at various intervals so that it adds up when you need it. I recently did a certificate in corporate governance because as a board director, I need to understand what that entails, you know, in depth. And I found a course run by the Center for Enterprise Sustainability in Johannesburg in South Africa. And I reached out to them and I attended that in January. It was really intense, but I loved that, you know, I was doing the assignments or like I was doing the assignments during the training. Look up this, tell us feedback and all that. It was so engaging and I loved it. You have to be ready to invest in your growth. Mentorship matters. If you're struggling in any given way, approach people and receive mentorship. Approach people that you've seen are good at something and receive mentorship. Ask them to mentor you. There are those willing to give you information for free. Unfortunately, when information is free, we don't take advantage of it. When we pay for it, it pinches, it hurts, but at least we show up. But when you show up, learn, purpose to learn. What are you taking from every session? Use your mentors as accountability partners. So those are the 3 areas. And in conclusion, I really just want to take you back to horizontal growth because I think a lot of people could be at the same level for so long. Are you doing the same work? That's my first question to you. If you're not doing the same work, start to evaluate if you're actually growing, because 7 years seemed like a long time, but when I evaluated, I actually saw us growing. In my last year, because I worked in performance management, subnational implementation, I joined another team where I was doing operational excellence, I was doing adolescent reproductive health. And after that, because of the operational excellence work that I was doing, something I contributed to the team, I ended up moving into finance. And then I moved to the global team, from the country team to the global team. But that was all during the time when I thought I wasn't growing. Because I remembered I loved numbers, but I hated accounting and audit. So what can I do? I realized that financial management is very important. And it's what I've been doing, part of operational excellence, what I had, crafted and I was doing. Because again, operational excellence is things I started doing. And then when my job description was revised, that element came in, they added to it that operational excellence is now part of my job description. You can create a job description based on your passion points, but you have to create that by doing. People need to know that you're actually good at something and do. And that's the question I think somebody had asked earlier, where they're like, why, about doing the work first. Doing the work first before, before going into that position. Because in order for me to say, you're going to become my marketing manager, I need to see you engaging with what it is I'm putting out. Then I know you can do the work. So horizontal growth. You have to remember that growth isn't always upwards. It can also be wide. Right now, I believe I can work in any industry, any sector, as long as the job description is in line with what I'm good at. And you too can do that. Find your niche. Bring that niche to the table in every space you find yourself. Horizontal growth makes you adaptable. Adaptable, like moving from Deloitte to Clinton Health and moving from, managing a myriad of projects that are very diverse and very different to health. And then not just, vaccines, moving into reproductive health, and then, switching and going into financial management. That's results of horizontal growth, the experiences along the way. Purpose flows through platforms, not positions. You will be in that position and never find your purpose. But what are you doing when you go to LinkedIn? Are you just scrolling through to see what everybody's posting, or you want to make a contribution and leave a comment so that someone, presents something? Platforms, what are you doing giving back? Where are you showing up? Who is seeing you? You'll ask Coach Samuel where he met me. I don't know how he saw me, but we are here today. Breadth leads to depth. Working across multiple disciplines gives you a 360-degree view, and that's what sets apart strategic thinkers. You have to be able to see the organization as it is in general beyond your current department. You have to keep track of your skills, your insights, your impact gained horizontally, because then you have to tell your story. You have to tell us what it is that you do in simple terms. I told you I'm a management consultant. When you go and Google management consultant, then you will know why all the things I've done really speak to what I've told you I do. So again, if you forget everything I've said, study the path to your goal, take small but strategic steps, expand your vision. But also remember, sometimes growth isn't about climbing higher. It's about stretching wider so you can carry more when you rise. A lot of people are looking for you. They are looking to hear what you have to deliver. They are looking to tap into the wisdom and other capabilities God has put in you. But until you move, they cannot move. So don't be the reason why people are where they are at and not moving forward because you've refused to move. Thank you, everyone. I want to hand over back to Samuel.
Wow. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think quite a lot that you've shared. And I love the fact that you shared this from passion. I'm even wondering how coincidentally I chose this topic and you've delivered on it very well. So well done. And thank you so much for sharing with us all these insights. And I know some of us that have seen you write on LinkedIn have been able to tap into some of these nuggets. So if you're watching Flavia for the very first time, I encourage you to follow her on LinkedIn. She writes about some of these nuggets, writes about her journey. It's quite very few people out there that are really sharing about their journeys. And I think that's, for me, that's the reason why I saw you and I felt that you would be of value to the community. And you've done us justice in terms of sharing. So thank you so much. So thanks the people that have followed the conversation. I see quite a lot of thanks coming through in the chat box. Thank you so much. Many people are appreciating. In case you have a question, this is an opportunity for you. You can raise up your hand. You can also type your question as you right here. So somebody says, is it possible to get the slides? I think Flavia will be able to advise. But as we get more questions that are coming through, I think I'll just ask a question or two to you, Flavia. I know that we live in an era and age where young girls, ladies, women still feel inferior in the workplace in whatever they do, and they feel there are certain things that they cannot achieve compared to their male counterparts, but also there are challenges that they also go through into the whole journey. I just want you to comment about how this has played for you. How have you been able to raise over above these what can I call them? Whatever people thought about you, or some of the challenges you might have faced maybe as a woman growing your career. And I know that there are quite a number of other ambitions that women may have even out of career. And the lot that society also expects a lot from women. There's a lot around that, and I believe that you really you can really speak into that for a young girl, a lady who is watching this live or is watching a replay, and they still feel that because they're a woman or they're a girl, there's something that is limited to them. What would you be your message to them?
Thank you so much for that question. It's a question that we really can't run away from because it happens. Like it's conversations that are happening all over, and a lot of people have stopped dreaming, I have to say, which is really sad that we've stopped dreaming as women. And it's the same question that I think, if I remember well, either in our recent Girls for Girls sessions about public speaking, Allen Asimwe, the co-founder of Girls for Girls Uganda, brought so much insight into that. And again, given her background and how you have to speak for yourself, you have to find your passion, you have to be articulate. But I think I remember most profoundly probably was because, again, we have like moments where we have sessions where you have one speaker for the entire session for probably online cohorts, and then you have the physical cohorts that happen in various areas. But Florence Nsubuga, who's a managing director at Berkeley Energy, you should look her up. She's quite amazing. Like sometimes I sit in these rooms, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting in rooms with people like this, because they get to share so much information about themselves and their journey makes sense. Florence spoke about when she she left her career, but also she got to the place where they were telling her to speak up. Like she was communicating something, but she wasn't being articulate. She was communicating, but, and then someone told her, speak up to be heard. Like, so what do we have as women? We have put ourselves in this whole gender, I don't know the right word. People who speak English, one of my friends would say depth. But we look at ourselves as women, forgetting that we're human beings, and the men are also human beings. You have potential within you that you can use to your advantage. But we put men at a pedestal that we do not want to challenge how they think, but respectfully, because you have to do it respectfully. But that also comes down to, are you challenging yourself to learn? If you can't bring something to the table that will challenge a man in terms of their thinking, their direction, what they think is the black and white, it's very hard that they're going to respect you. So you always feel inferior because men were made to have dominion. Even the Bible tells us, when sin came into the world, the man shall rule over the woman. But it doesn't mean we don't have a place to speak up. We don't have a place to go. So this inferiority complex in the workplace is coming from us continuously thinking that women, even if we have that much value and talents, we still have to come after men. But you need, as a person, as a woman, to change how you think about it. A woman was made as a helper, and forgive me that, but how I understand the Bible helps me shape my thinking, and it's been very critical in how I've, moved forward in life in general. When someone is your helper, it doesn't mean they are less than you. They're below you. When you look at an executive assistant, that woman has power because they know the person, that MD, that CEO, that CFO, they know so much about them. And most of the times they do quite a bit of the work that you see the CEOs present. They are women, but they never stand up to say, this is what I do. They will tell you, I help the CEO. Women, you're going to stand up when people respect what you bring to the table, but women are not showing up at the table. We feel inferior when men push their agenda towards us, but that's because we never present our agenda. So what are you learning in your current workplace, in the environment where you believe you have a place at the table, but you're not yet seated there because you feel inferior, you feel inadequate? Go build up knowledge. In Girls for Girls, we call it the gathering years. Where do you want to sit? Build up the knowledge. When you have conversations, sit in that meeting for the sake of learning. And once you have learned, go back and build knowledge on what you have learned. That you no longer just sit as a spectator, but as a contributor, because then the men will start to respect you. There are some learnings that we need to have as women, because women, we are emotional. Me, I tell you, I'm very emotional. Very, very emotional. Things have improved, I think, in the last 4 years, but I'm very emotional. Like every time something didn't go my way, like you would see tears come out of my eyes, and that's most women. one of the mentors shared about, a time when they had been rejected for a promotion and they went and hid and cried, but they called a friend that is a man. And you know what the man told them? He said, what did they ask you for? What did your supervisor ask you for? Do you have it? Yes. Gather it. Add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things and send them. Because guess what? The system was also made in such a way that women, we will fear to push forward. But if you start to think that you have value to add, and you learn, and you seek to learn, to prepare, to build knowledge that you can contribute to the place where you currently feel inferior, as a woman, you're going to stand up. You are going to stand up because you have value to bring. If you can't bring value, people don't respect you, and that brings the inferiority complex. But if you have value to bring, people will respect you.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Flavia. You've spoken to the women. I'm a father of 2 girls, and I love hearing this message. And I know that this recording will be on YouTube for them when they grow up to be able to listen to it. So I want to draw you, and thanks for the comments that are really coming through. I know people asking for your contacts. You'll be able to share that, but I know that you're on LinkedIn, so people can also connect and reach out. So you work in the development space, and there's been a lot of change around the development space. Quite a number of people have lost their jobs in the process, and there's a lot of uncertainty that continues to remain. And we also work in an era where there's a lot of changing technology. I know you've spoken a lot about AI and how technology facilitates you as a career professional. For a professional out there who is uncertain of what tomorrow basically brings for them, they're in a job and maybe in the development space, they've already had restructuring, and things are not the way, it's no longer business as usual. And you see here, we're trying to speak about career growth. So this person already feels there's a ceiling for them. It's not even a ceiling, it's just uncertain because anything can happen tomorrow. How have you been able to manage through as an individual? And what is in your thoughts? What keeps you grounded in this kind of saga that we're facing right now?
Thank you so much for that question, Samuel. Yes, the development space has changed. It continues to change. One day we were sleeping very comfortably. Well, the next day, stop order. I remember I was at a meeting to do with sickle cell. We're launching a program in Lagos around sickle cell disease, and we woke up in the morning with my teams, and that had happened. There was panic, and that can happen to anybody. But before the panic comes, are you planning? Are you planning? Planning for your finances? Because when there are disruptions, whether you like it or not, the first thing we think about is money and everything money has been doing in our lives. Because it could be just a job. If you have a business, you move on. Because, and I said this because I saw after this happened, I was seeing posts on LinkedIn by people who worked with USAID, but had like other work opportunities. Like they were having businesses and side hustles and consultancies, and they were sharing their journey. So it's the planning before the storm. There's a reason why it's called disaster preparedness, not disaster addressing. I grew up from a very poor background. I wore shoes that would bring in water when it rained. But that grounded me in purpose that I would not go back to that kind of life. And I had to think from a very early age what I needed to do? Can I fit in various areas? My first job was actually cleaning a bar. I would wake up very early in the morning and go mop the bar, clean up the chairs, you know, broken glasses and things. And I was just 11 and I wasn't even going to school. And I learned how to use money, how to work with money. I learned from a young age that money is meant to help you move forward, but you have to plan for it in order for that to do so. Money, when it comes, it has to be planned for, no matter how little it is. Because when you think about careers ending, it's really the biggest impact is on the financial status of a person. If a person has a job, they're doing something elsewhere, it's still, you know, there wouldn't be that, you know, they'll be like, okay, I can start here. They have something to jump to. So as the world continues to evolve, even with this AI and, you know, the donor landscape changing, because again, based on where I work, different development partners are also revising their funding because of the decision made by USAID early in the year. That means we're going to continue to see certain changes. How do you position yourself to actually be flexible, agile, that beyond where you're currently working, you're building up skills? And some of the skills are going to be the mentorship that I talked about. Do you need mentorship? Is it communication? What are you having challenges with? What else can you do beyond your current work? That, you know, beyond the implementation, project implementation in health, can I do financial management? What have I seen that are gaps and how do I build on that? The learnings along the way, because you need to be able to jump onto something else, but also stay updated. Stay updated about things that are happening and how the industries are shaping up. Because if you're able, Elijah, when Elijah was praying, he kept on asking, was it Elijah, Elisha? My God, I confused that too. But it's Elijah, because again, it talks about it, that Elijah being a man like us, but then, you know, when he prayed for rain, it came. When Elijah kept on praying and praying, he kept on looking and looking, because he was looking for a sign that something was happening. You have to keep on looking to see the signs of what's happening. Because the size, if there is a sign that is the size of a man's hand, let that be enough of a reason for you to start moving. Because Elijah started to run. He told Ahab, you know, to move, because the cloud the size of a man's hand was enough for him to know that rain was indeed coming. He had prayed and rain was coming. We can't be like Ahab in the Bible, where he still didn't see even the cloud the size of a man's hand. You have to be updated. Keep updated. What industry do you want to work in, even if you're not working in it? What is the volatility like, you know, of everything that's happening? How are things going up and down? Is it, you know, an upward trajectory? Is it a downward trajectory? How do you position yourself for things that are coming up? And that's through investment in your learning. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much, Flavia. It's really helpful. So there are quite a number of questions that have come through here. We will be able to share the recording. When you go to YouTube and search for Coach Samuel Ibanda, you'll be able to see the recording to this session. It's already live there. Asimen says, you talked about office politics versus values. Can you expound on these two? For example, when you expect a promotion and I think we mentioned it doesn't go your way. And I think what I try to pick from this is, I know we've mentioned defining your career growth, but then there are what we call third parties to your career growth. That you're not just going to grow into a new position. You're not just going to even with the horizontal growth, the opportunities are going to be given to you, and not what you just wish, but there's a third party in it. So what would you speak to this in terms of, I think the office politics, managing office politics versus values? And I think that's what Asim was trying to ask.
Thank you so much for that question, Asim. I've been there. But the more I've been there, the more I've learned. And I am going to say something that is a very unpopular opinion. It served me a lot. There is no smoke without fire. Why am I saying that? When someone says, Asimwe, Emmanuel, this is it, this is why you're not getting the promotion. If you cannot in that moment break apart that reason to counter it with evidence that you deserve the promotion, then you have some work to do. Recently, very recently, I sat in a room and I was speaking about why I had worked towards a promotion. And I deserved a promotion. And you know what? On the spot, when I was asked, what do you think in line with the career ladder? How does that align? How, you know, how confident are you that you deserve the promotion? You deserve to be at the next level. In that moment, I had already looked at the career ladder before, the place I wanted to go to. What are the qualifications that I need? And I had been working through those intentionally for over a year. Intentionally, because I said, when we get there and the policies, the manual, the documents that speak to what I want are presented, can I defend myself? So even before we speak about the promotion, someone asked about doing the work before. Yes, start adding value that is at the next level. One of the things I remember from my appraisals at Deloitte, actually, I think it was in the first year, because we used to have quarterly appraisals, I think, or biannual. And I remember my supervisor back then rating me as works at the next level. If you cannot rate yourself that you work at the next level that you want to get to, you're not ready for that promotion. You have to know, what does it mean when it comes to people management, and work on yourself. Because if you're not working on yourself, it becomes harder to negotiate for those promotions going forward, and you get frustrated. I went through the periods where I was like, no, I am doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. That is technical input. That is your IQ at play. What about your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence? Are you self-aware? Are there things you do that causing people to doubt that you actually need to go for the promotion? It's very easy for us to push back and say they don't like us and all that, and but if you're working towards a promotion, probably if you're working towards a promotion and it doesn't go your way, ask the questions, the why. Because every time they say no and you do not know the why behind the no, you're not going to improve. You'll come back into the same room with the same person or with a different person, and the result will be the same. Unless it's your dad that could probably change the tables and say yes. But if it's the same room, the same people, it will be no. So always ask the why, because that why is going to shape how you start to work towards, the next discussion you're having. That's point number one. Point number two, start working early enough on what is required to work at the next level. Until you can prove to people, and I mentioned this, until you can prove to people that you are good enough to work at the next level, the conversation about promotions becomes very hard. That's where we women get very emotional, like, people don't like me, and you cry through it. And as you cry through it, they are seeing how weak you are, and they know you cannot handle the next level. Office politics is strategy, Emmanuel. You can't afford to lose yourself breaking down and making comments. Recently, I saw a post, actually today, someone was talking about, I think, a passenger that, used obscene language with, I don't know if it's a stewardess on a plane or the guys at the gate that check your boarding passes. They use foul language with them, and they were banned from traveling. like banned from traveling, like you can't travel, you're on a no-fly list. Certain words that we say, how we react, they sort of make people think about us a certain, even someone that respected you, they won't respect you anymore. I had a conversation for about an hour with a recruiter. It was for a board position. She called me, and I gave this example. She called me, she told me, she asked me for a question, for some information, and I shared it with her. And then we were supposed to have my interview 2 days later when, before today she's asking about the interviews 2 days later. And when I responded to her, she said, do you have a moment? Can we talk? I said, okay. I get on the call and she says, unfortunately, with the information you provided, we cannot take you on even if you were the ideal candidate for this. And I said, okay, could you please explain more? Like in the first 2 minutes, I knew I hadn't got the board position and it was a good one. But I also understood in the first 5 minutes why I couldn't take on the position. And then we started talking about the industry itself, the work she's doing in recruitment. Like, we spent an hour. Can you handle a discussion like that? Can you add value? Can you start delivering your value that you can add to the team after getting that rejection of a promotion? Because then you're leaving that person with words and thoughts and things running in their minds about actually you're good in a certain area. Probably you want a promotion in your current path, but through your discussions, they realize, oh, I think Emmanuel is good for this new role. And I think it's the director of ABSA, Rachel Rakatungo, who mentioned a conversation she had with someone at the top while they were out at an event, outside the country. And they asked her a question, and that question framed the role that she's currently doing. It never existed. What she answered, can you handle a conversation? And some of the things that you need to probably read up on, Harvard Business School has content around, learning content around how to handle difficult conversations. It has content around communication. Probably we are communicating, but we're not articulate. You have to be, I think I wrote down something, it's handling difficult conversations, emotional intelligence. A man called Daniel Goleman, I think you can also find him. He's also on LinkedIn. He shares so much on emotional intelligence, and you can sign up for his newsletters through LinkedIn. Effective communication and negotiation. We share that in G4G. And I've learned a lot about negotiation. The promoters that Coach Samuel, you mentioned, the promoters, that if the person supervising you doesn't understand the work you do, and by the way, we end up sometimes in spaces where our supervisors don't understand what work we do to appraise us better and push us for promotions. Who understands your work better? How do you make them your promoters? That, in a conversation when they say you're not ready for a promotion, you mention the person you've been working with and how they can add context to your preparation for a promotion. I hope that's helpful, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much for that response. And thanks so much for those that have been able to ask. And I think Sime added something to this about office politics as a strategy. So well done. I want to say that every place has politics, and we cannot really avoid the politics. Every time I join a new workplace, my first task is to understand the politics. Who has the power? Who makes the decisions? What helps people to grow in this place? Whom do I need to talk to? Whom do I need to really impress? So there's a lot that happens around that, and I think you've really shared from your journey. So I know we're getting to the top of the hour, and I appreciate all our viewers who have been here. I know we've kept on growing and getting down, but being in this place, being here to learn, I think is very, very key. So one of the things that I think comes through in your career is I know you're a board member, and I want to say that quite a few young people would actually look at things like being a board member. And this is something that you've been able to attain earlier in your career compared to other people. How have you been able to get to this space, and why is it important for somebody to be able to look at growing their career to this kind of level? Because there's somebody who is watching here, and being a board member is looked at to be something that is really, really up there for people who are retiring, getting out of their careers. How do you get to these kind of spaces, and why is it very important? And I think you've spoken a lot about doing things outside your normal job, but I just want you to speak about that aspect.
Oh my God. I can tell you, I didn't know I was being headhunted for this role by the person that is at the top, the executive director. The country director, I didn't know. It's conversations that we had. Every time he asked me conversations about financial management in the organization and country context, like company context, I gave responses. What do you exactly do? And it's things that I remember now I recall that certain things I mentioned, and one of the conversations we had sometime was really about about the roles of accountants and finance managers. That so many times, there are people that are accountants, and we give them the responsibility of finance managers, but they don't really know what to do as finance managers. The analysis and decision making and supporting management and all that. So it was over a year. And that takes me back to what I just mentioned about Rachel, the conversation around when somebody asks you a question, how do you present yourself? What are you giving them? We can't just carelessly respond. And in certain circles, I'm just over there laughing. And then I'm like, oh my God, I need to add value to this conversation. And I bring in context and, get serious about delivering something. And for over a year, every time, I met him, he was asking me about, what is it like around strategy, conversations like beyond how are you doing, tea, coffee, what we were just talking about that. And I didn't know. So a time comes when he's like, oh, I need someone, we need people for the board, for the company. And could you please send me your CV? I'm looking for somebody in accounting and someone with, I think we're looking for somebody who had done work in the fintech and finance sector. And I said, I don't qualify. That's what I told him. I said, I don't qualify. And I told him that I can find you people. I got people that I knew who were CFOs. I got people that I knew who were directors and associate directors. I gave him names. I'm like, check out this person. I know this person. I gave him names, I think, for over 6 weeks or so, or even more of that. And then one night I was coming from prayers and I see his message and it says, send me your CV. I'm like, if you insist, let me go home, update it, and I'll send it to you. And I sent the CV. But it's, I think, starting from the impression I had given him and the value I was already adding in the conversations that we were having, over that about a year. Because when I submitted the CV, it was a couple of, I don't even think it was 2 months that I got the letter of, what was it? There was a letter of intent from the company, for them, for me to sit on the board. And I'm like, is this even real? And of course, you have to go through the due diligence and the vetting by the authorizing and regulatory institutions. And I went through that. So it's the value you add. The people you're having conversations with, they have startups, they have organizations, they want people to sit on their boards. I'm currently evaluating something in my inbox where I'm like, on LinkedIn, I'm like, I need to know, before I say yes to this person, I need to know what value I'm adding, because it's not an area I'm familiar with or an area of interest, but it's not more of an area of interest, but probably, the role that that they want me to step into in terms of the, the volunteering on their board. So I'm still exploring it. I'm like, I'm not going to respond and commit, but I need to understand what this is about. Once I've formed, a picture of what I can add and then add value, in terms of like adding value, then we can proceed and have a discussion. So what are you discussing when people ask you questions? It's very important because the lasting impression you leave with them is going to connect you to opportunities, is going to connect you to doors, and they'll open so wide for you. Yeah, over.
All right, thank you so much. We're at the top of the hour, and I just want to say thank you so much to our audience that has been here from the start. We have quite a number of people who have said thank you. Here, I think it was Saka that was asking about expounding on horizontal growth. I don't know if you have some minutes to just expound on that, but if not, maybe we could recommend him to just check out maybe the recording, see if in case he missed part of the session. But I for one, I think I'm very grateful for accepting our invitation. And there's something to do with, I know you're a person of faith. So when you find somebody who you're connected with spiritually, you already get a hint. And I think that is for me, when I saw your message, what you're sharing, I felt that there's a connection that we have in the ministry of empowerment, and you've really played very well. So friends, join me in thanking our speaker for the great conversation. And I would love you to share with us how can people get in touch with you. I know you've gotten new what can I call it? But these are people who are now going to look out for some of the messages that you share. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah. My contact is 256, because I know there are a couple of people from Kenya that joined that were asking for the link. I don't know if there's anybody else outside Uganda, but 256 782 534336. I'm sharing it, and I'm also asking that we remain respectful as we contact, as we request for information, as we have the discussions. Let's really focus on, the career growth, the topic that we've handled today. Yeah.
All right. Like indicated, Flavia is on LinkedIn, so you can be able to go to LinkedIn and search for Flavia Amayengo. I'm actually going to drop a link here in the chat box for those that are following the live session. At this point in time, I would like you to give your closing remarks. And I know you've shared with us a lot, but I know I want you to just leave an encouraging message to somebody out there who feels stuck, and yeah, give them the encouragement to see how they can be able to also achieve what you've been able to achieve, and all that your spirit leads you to share with us as you close.
Thank you so much, Samuel, and everyone that has been on this call. I think at the top of the hour, we were about 47 or 49 people. And for all the 29 of you that have stayed until the very end, I truly appreciate you coming through. It's a topic that is very touchy. And I would tell you, I don't feel like I'm there yet. I feel like I have so many, so many strides I need to make to really say I am somewhere. And for career growth, even when you make it, one of the things I'm learning and continuing to practice is humility, to know that you can learn from other people, but to also focus on your spiritual life as well. Life is very spiritual, very, very spiritual, to the point that everything that you're seeing manifesting in your life probably started in your dreams. It started in you saw it, you knew it, but you didn't understand it. And that's why I commend us to always talk to God. It's not the most relatable, obvious, final remarks that most people would give you, but honestly, start with God. When you wake up in the morning, talk to God about your day. In the last session that I was a co-panelist on, I was asked, what are you grateful for? And I told people, I start my day, by being grateful to God. When I write my daily gratitude in my gratitude journal, my first entry is, thank you, God, for life. Thank you that I'm alive. Because I'm alive, I know the challenges of yesterday I can overcome today. Talk to him. Tell him about your plans. When you put your plans before the Lord, it's very, you start to feel like you have backup, you have someone walking with you. But also don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself and putting yourself in a box and saying, this is how far I've come, they don't like me, they've treated me this way. No. Challenge yourself to be better. Tell yourself that even if it's just waking up and saying, I'm going to smile today in the office, I'm going to keep a positive attitude. Do that, because it's going to go so, it's going to take you so far, because when people see your attitude changing, it shapes their culture as well, how they relate with you. They know that you're friendly. Growing up, I used to, because of all the trauma I had gone through, I carried all that pain, I carried all my emotions. And I remember while I was working in Deloitte, everyone used to think I was tough. Until they got to know me, then they'll know, oh, she's sweet, she's super helpful. It took one person breaking that shell to then tell everyone else that, oh, no, she's super helpful, actually. Just go approach her, don't fear her, and all that. Some of us have shells around us. It's time you break those shells. But it's so hard to break the shells with everything you've experienced. I understand your pain in the workplace, and yet you need that paycheck. I understand how much you've tried to be growing, and it's not been happening. It's been so many years. I understand how you've been out of employment for quite some time. That break, take that break to re-strategize before God. Tell him, God, now that I've learned some things, how do you reposition me? Because positioning is for the Lord. David was sought out. Samuel went to look for the next king in the house of Jesse. But you know what? While he was in the house of Jesse, Jesse said, oh no, those are all my sons. And then the Lord prompted Samuel to remember to ask. And he asked, you mean this is like everyone, like this is everybody you have? I'm paraphrasing. And Jesse was like, oh, there's that one over there. He's tending to the sheep very, very far away. And someone said, bring him, let him come. Because guess what? There are moments that are going to happen when you out there in the wilderness of unemployment, of no paycheck, of no income, when you prepare before the Lord, it's the opportunity that is going to bring a person looking for someone like you with your caliber, with your talents, while you're out there serving. Because David was out there serving. He was serving his father by tending to the sheep. Serve the people around you. Tend to your family with care as responsibility. Tend to the people around you with responsibility, like you're working for the Lord, because the Bible tells us, serve like you're serving the Lord. In everything you do, do it like you're doing it unto the Lord. Because when a time comes, they will come specifically for you. An opportunity will come specifically designed for you, that no matter how many blunders you have in an interview, it's still your opportunity. He's the God that still performs miracles. He's the God that is allowing you to put your craft. People like Bezalel and Oholiab only heard about during the building of the temple, and they were the ones the Lord assigned to put together the articles of the temple of the Lord when it was being built. But guess what? They had never been heard of in the Bible, never. But here it is, and it's all about Bezalel and Oholiab. And they received the instructions, and they were able to do everything as it was, like what they did mirrored the instructions God had already given to his servant. Take time, learn. Those gathering years, gathering moments and months, when you feel like it's not working out, take time to learn. Learn what triggers you. Learn what doesn't work for you. Learn what stresses you. Deal with that, so that when you enter into the space of promise, when you enter into the space where you're supposed to now demonstrate whatever the Lord has cultivated in you, you actually deliver value. Because if I was still emotionally triggered by everything and anything that was happening in my life, probably I wouldn't have added value to the teams that I currently serve, the people I currently work with. I had to face myself. Sometimes we don't want to face ourselves. Face yourself and the demons from within and tell yourself, people have said I'm like this. Is it true? Evaluate yourself. It is the hardest thing for one to do for oneself. But once you do it, you are going to realize that you can overcome so much. So I hope this has blessed you. I am grateful for each and every one of you. And I pray that the Lord will walk with you, that he will hold your hands, that he will deliver his purpose that he designed you for in this day. And that, you know, the years that the locusts had eaten, the Lord redeems that and he blesses you abundantly as you make these intentional little steps at a time. Over to you, Samuel.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for those closing remarks. Please, you started us with in prayer and you've left our spirits in high gear. Please, if you don't mind, you could leave us with a prayer and we'll conclude our session.
Oh my God. I am going to invite someone here. I don't know if she's still around. Sandra, are you still here? If she's not, I will pray.
Yes, Sandra.
Nachibuka. Please pray for the people of the Lord.
All right, okay. Thank you for the honor and thank you, Coach Samuel, for organizing such a very powerful webinar. Flavia, thank you for doing this justice. We are very proud of your suits and suits. All right, let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for today. Thank you, King Jesus, for who you are. Thank you for what you're doing in our lives, oh God. Thank you so much, Father King Jesus, for such a time as this, oh God, that this is no coincidence, Father Lord, that we've gathered here, Father King Jesus, to listen, Father Lord, through your servant, Father Lord Flavia. Thank you so much, Father Lord, for what you've done in her life, Father Lord, that she has poured out, Father Lord, out of the abundance of her heart, Father Lord, that mouth has spoken, oh God, and we thank you so much for that. Thank you, Father Lord, for the wealth of wisdom that you've given her, Father Lord, and all the glory goes back to you. We thank you for everyone that has logged on, Father King Jesus. May this message be transformative. May they not stay the same, Father Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. May they pick out whatever that is that they've picked out, and may they go and, Father Lord, implement it in their lives. And we pray, Father King Jesus, for everyone, Father Lord, we pray for a blessing upon them. May they be successful in their lives, whatsoever that they had, whatever issue they had, Father Lord, in their lives, Father King Jesus, may you straighten it out. May this continue to be an enlightening message to them, oh God, King Jesus. May they see doors of opportunities open up for them. And Father King Jesus, wherever you've called each one of them, Father Lord, on this call, may they blossom, Father King Jesus. May they be like the trees that were planted on rivers, Father Lord, of living water. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for your Son Jesus Christ that I've prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for that prayer, Sandra. We really appreciate. And thank you so much once again, our speaker, for coming through. If it's your first time joining through today, this has been the Transformation Professionals Club. We're a community of professionals, and our key goal is to help professionals connect, learn, grow, and earn. So we gather every Friday to be able to have these conversations, and we invite resourceful speakers like Flavia to share on various topics. We have recordings for all our sessions we've done this year. You can be able to catch them on the YouTube channel for Coach Samuel Ibanda. And in case you want us to be part of our WhatsApp community, which helps us to get updated on every conversation that comes through, I've shared the link within the chat box. You can be able to also connect with us on LinkedIn via Transformation Professionals Club, or you can reach out to me, Coach Samuel Ibanda, and let's see how we can have these conversations. There's power in community. We cannot grow alone. And that's why we create such kind of programs that help you to be able to grow. We have a planned fiscal masterclass that will be happening on the 30th of August. So watch out for the details that we shall be sharing within the WhatsApp group and also on our social media handles. And let's see how we can be able to grow. I believe that together we can do great things, no matter what is happening. I believe that if we are focused, we'll be able to get there. So thank you so much and well done, everyone who has come through. May God bless you and may you have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.